All right, welcome to today's and the very first edition for the week on the program, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. My name is Rachel David White. Well, as you can see, there's so much smiles on my face because, of course, Nigeria has had its Guba polls. Well, it may have not turned out well in other states, some other states, but here in Akwa Ibom State, yeah, it turned out well and peaceful and calm in most areas. Of course, this is Nigeria and the game of politics, anything can happen, so we can expect total calm when it comes to, electoral processes, voting people into offices. But to a larger extent, yeah, I would say it was calm. And of course, I'm not in the position to give it to INEC, to say they did well or they didn't do well. But that's in your hands, so we get to find out all those details on today's programs. Once again, welcome to The Law of the People and Governance. All right, so today we'll take a look at just analysis and aftermath of the Guba and State Assembly elections all around Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria was to elect a governor in 28 states here in Nigeria, and of course, every other state was also expected to elect members of the state assemblies. Now, how well did that go? What did you expect from INEC? Would you say they did better than they did during the presidential election? These are the things we hope to talk about today, and it's very interactive, so you can be a part of the show. Very soon the phone numbers will be displayed on the screen, so you can join us, and of course, let's talk. Well, I have a guest in the house who is joining me live, and I will get to analyze the whole process and how it went. In the person of Barrister Martin Zupe, a human rights lawyer. Welcome, Barrister.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
Barrister, I've been anticipating this day. I hope you had as well.
Sure, definitely.
Okay. All right, so let's just start from this point. INEC. It has always been a point where people criticize. INEC did not do well in the presidential election, and they were largely criticized. Now, to some extent, you would say that they tried their best to transmit results electronically as promised, and make sure that their staffs were in place on ground and in majority of the polling units. Election materials and of course INEC staffs and ad hoc staffs were on ground on time, and elections started on time as well. So what would you say on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate INEC's performance on this just concluded Guba and State Assembly polls?
Well, I wouldn't rate INEC. I wouldn't give INEC a pass mark because the entire process runs together. We were to elect the president and members of the federal parliament, the governors and members of the state parliament. What we were expecting was a better political and electoral condition, both for the electorate and for those conducting the elections. But at the end of it all, you realize those in charge of the conduct of the election couldn't meet up the expectations of Nigerians. Now, they left Nigerians at the point of bickering, at the point of hopelessness, where Nigerians couldn't still have confidence in the commission, in INEC, giving us a free and fair election. Now, what happened on Saturday, the 18th of March, was as a result of, it was a show of the result that we got from the first election. There was large political apathy. People, yes, refused to come out to vote because they have lost confidence in the entire electoral process. Someone who was supposed to come out to vote who said, the first one that I voted, did it count?
Of course, during the the election day on Saturday, we had reports, live feeds from resource persons from Lagos, River State. I think even here in Akwa Ibom State, we had people who said they weren't going to go out to vote. Some of them said, you know, especially in Lagos State, threats had been issued. MC Oluomo had said a whole lot of things, the fights between the Igbos and the Yorubas. So that alone caused a whole, I would say, a very high percentage of voter apathy. So we saw that play in the just concluded polls.
Very well. I recommend the Kigali Memorial sites in Uganda for those who are playing ethnic cards, the likes of Solomo, someone I used to give a highly coveted level of respect, Bayo Onanuga, who tweeted yesterday that the Igbos should know their place in Lagos, that Lagos doesn't belong to Igbo, it belongs to the Yoruba people. And of course, that is a very inciting statement. That is how ethnic...
I think that was tweeted by Aisha Yusufu.
No, that is a tweet that was made by Bayo Onanuga.
Oh, okay.
It was only reported by
Aisha.
Aisha Yusufu,
okay.
Yes, it was Aisha that reported the tweet. Now, that is how ethnic war starts. It starts from verbal war. It starts from Cold War, where different ethnic nationalities engage in Cold War. They engage in verbal war. From there, it shifts to the physical. Such statements shouldn't be encouraged. Such statements shouldn't have a place in our democracy, because we believe in one Nigeria. If you are telling us that Lagos does not belong to the Igbos, it belongs to the Yorubas, is Lagos not part of Nigeria? The law is very straight. The law is straight that as long as you are a citizen of Nigeria, you have the right to live and have a habitable place in any part of Nigeria. Therefore, disenfranchising the Igbos residing in Lagos is totally unacceptable. It is against every known laws and norms and ethics of democracy. Every principles of democracy, it should not be encouraged. I am waiting to see what the APC, the federal government, how they are going to respond to this. Because if the federal government fails to respond to these issues raised by these ethnic bigots, it will soon escalate to something that even the government will not be able to contain again. Now, disenfranchising the Igbos in Lagos, I think this is the highest level of an undemocratic, very, very undemocratic. You stop a particular region from voting. Of course, all the contenders in that gubernatorial election in Lagos State, all of them are from the West. Let me not say Lagos State, but I know that all of them are from Yoruba. There is no Igbo son that contested for the governorship election. We are Nigerians. We have the right to vote anybody that we want to vote.
Of course.
Why do you stop some persons because you felt that these persons are from particular ethnic nationality and that their support is going to be yielded to a particular candidate? I just feel and I wish that the incoming National Assembly will revisit our electoral laws, because our electoral law needs immediate reforms so that we'll be able to accommodate our ethnic and religious differences in a country like Nigeria. Someone said Nigeria is gradually becoming a failed state. Yes.
Aside from that, you know, would I say the immediate past president of Nigeria, in the person of Goodluck Jonathan, made a strong statement. He said any country that doesn't put in a government through the ballot, okay, doesn't vote in a government through ballot papers, you know, at the polling unit, a proper voting process, is a doomed state. So making such a strong statement now, coming from an elder statesman, someone who has held a bigger position in this country, and right now is at a point of, you know, acting as an observer of the whole process, okay? Now, would you say, go by his assertion that Nigeria is actually doomed? Of course, you've seen that we had so many irregularities ranging from the issue of thuggery that we've tried to push away in the past years, but it still keeps looming, you know, snatching of ballot boxes, a whole lot of issues. So we could actually trace them back to the just concluded poll. So would you agree to that assertion?
The former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, just put Nigeria in its right place. That is not a hypothetical statement. That is a statement of facts. Now, what are those signs? What are those features, those characteristics that makes a state a failed state? We are already engulfed with those characteristics. We are already we're exhausting all the characteristics that makes a state a failed state. One of the conditions is when a country, when the citizens cannot have the freedom to choose who governs them, when the recruitment process is not free and fair, when leaders who govern the state cannot be chosen through the ballot, when the ballot cannot make the leaders, these are one of the features of a failed state. Now, you that wants to be a leader, you want to govern the people, you are not governing yourself. You are in the position of a trustee. You are holding the people's commonwealth in their own trusts. Therefore, you do not have to impose yourself on the people. You should allow the people to freely choose who they want to govern them. After all, governance is service. So, allowing yourself to be chosen by the people rightly puts you in the position of a leader. But imposing yourself on the people turns you to something else. You are no more leading the people. You are ruling them. And no country wants a ruler, but they want a leader. They want someone who governs the country with the basic principles of the law that have been laid down for governance. Now, we have seen what happened in Lagos State, videos making the round, talks chasing electorate, snatching of ballot materials. So many things happening, killing took place. In fact, the Presidential and National Assembly election was even better.
Barrister, let me just break you there. But do you think that, now we've seen these whole things. I had footages on Saturday. We even had a live feed from one of our resource persons in Lagos who was a strong member of the Labour Party, and he wasn't allowed to vote. According to him, immediately he stepped into the polling unit. About 20 thugs were already on ground. And then since they had already known him, because he wanted to, contest for the presidency, but had to lay low for Peter Obi under the same Labour Party. So, according to him, when he got there, he wasn't even allowed to step in. He was asked to go out because they definitely knew he was going to vote for Gbadebo Rodriguez of the Labour Party. So they didn't even allow him to vote. And then he had to move out and try to smuggle in his camera to, show us what was happening there. So in such a place where we had other stations report of lots and lots of issues, killings, we even saw, footages of, we couldn't tell if it was security agents, security men or thugs, gunning down people, okay? So at that point, with this whole lot of irregularities, and then INEC went ahead to declare Sanwo-Olu as the, of course, the governor of Lagos State. He was already and was returning. And all those things that happened, that took place, don't you think that INEC should have maybe declared Lagos State inconclusive and ordered for a rerun or something?
All right. Now, let me not forget the first question that you asked me. It was it was bordering on the statement made by the former president, yes, Goodluck Jonathan. Now, he was talking about a state, Nigeria gradually becoming a first step. Now, whenever you see non-state actors taking orders, taking authorities, those are one of the features of a failed state. Now, you can imagine non-state actors, talks, barricading the voting arena and stopping legitimate voters, electorate, citizens of Nigeria from exercising their lawful franchise. Now, the question is, who sent these talks? One.
Shouldn't
Then
they be investigated?
Two. If these talks that were sent were not actually sent by persons in position of authority, where would these talks usurp such powers to have and use it at a polling unit to stop legitimate voters? That's one. Now, you see how the issue of non-state actors coming in to take authority in a state like Nigeria, how it all starts. That's one. Now two, INEC also disappointed Nigerians again. Prior to the election, INEC has told Nigerians that they have made collaborations with some federal government agencies like the Nigerian police and other security agencies, so that there will be maximum security for Nigerians to go out and vote and cast their vote without fear of intimidation.
At this point, don't you think that INEC maybe did their best by trying to, provide, but it never happened?
Now, there were enough logistics provided by the federal government through the budget for INEC to use in procuring all the security apparatus and the arrangement needed to secure the lives of Nigerians to cast their vote without fear of intimidation or being killed. Now, what happened? There was no security in this election. Even in my own polling unit, there was no security. For example, if there were adequate security in the polling unit that you have just mentioned, where a senior member of the Labour Party went to go and vote and was pushed out by talks and was stopped by talks from voting, if there was security, that is where security would have helped. That's one. Then two, INEC also are claimed to have collaborated with anti-graft agencies like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the ICPC, NFIU. Now, in order to curb vote buying, at the end of the day, what did we see? They were still vote buying. So, what exactly do INEC really want before they can offer Nigerians a free and fair election? It was the duty of INEC to provide security. Very important. Without security, nobody will be willing to go out and vote. Because if you want to leave your house to go and vote, and you are hearing gunshots out there, will you still want to go out and vote again? The answer is no. So nobody will want to leave his or her house to go and vote when he is not sure of coming back the same way he left his house, or coming back alive. So INEC should have put security in place. I don't know if there was any security in this election. There was no security. In that case, talks non-state actors take over the entire place, and they were able to activate exactly what they wanted to do. So when you have a situation whereby citizens go out willingly to go and vote election and they are being stopped from voting, what do you expect? We have totally lost confidence in INEC. We have given up on the ballot system of Nigeria because it does not work. Looking at exactly what happened in Lagos State, ballot box snatching, talks, intimidating the people, so many things happening in Lagos State. By all standard of fairness, election results shouldn't have been announced in Lagos State. But the commission still went ahead and announced the incumbent governor, Sanwo-Olu, as governor-elect. Look at some places where there was no significant violence. They have declared inconclusive. But where there is a large scale of violence like Lagos State, but they couldn't even collect result in all the places, they had just announced Sanwo-Olu as the governor. Is that the kind of commission that Nigerians should repose confidence on? There was low turnout of votes in this governorship, gubernatorial and state house of assembly election, because I can tell you that Nigerians have lost confidence in the ballot process.
I think Festus Keyamo came out to say, he tweeted actually that he congratulated Governor Jide Sanwo-Olu for, his victory, and claimed the Lagos State election was free and fair.
Well, with all due respect to the learned Silk and a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I do not want to share the same sentiment with him. I don't know his own understanding of what a free and fair process looks like. Because to me, what I know about a free and fair process is where all candidates are given a level playing ground. And everybody are allowed to vote based on their choices. Here in this election, how would you say that Sanwo-Olu got a resounding victory when voters were not allowed to vote? The Igbos residing in Lagos were disenfranchised.
Of course, we had lots of footages that,
of course, there are a lot of footages that shows that.
Allowed to go
so
into
people were not allowed to vote in the way they perceive to be a Labour Party strongholds. They will send thugs to go and scatter everywhere and destroy ballot materials, take the beavers machines and scatter the ballot papers. So, because they feel that Labour Party were going to win there, where they feel that they have strength, they will ensure that election is conducted there, or however they manipulate the process, they will just manipulate that place and win. So is that what you think? You call it free and fair process? Well, like I said, I wouldn't want to share the same sentiment with Delene Silk.
Okay, before we come to Akwa Ibom, let's just listen to Gbadebo Rhodes. He was one of the #1 contenders in Lagos State. Actually, the Igbos turned out well for him, but were disenfranchised.
His leg is completely broken. He has to go into surgery. And I've been doing this entire morning. I cannot even transfer money again because I'm done transferring just on hospital bills. So I condemn this. I will never call Babajide Sanwo-Olu to congratulate him for this shambolic, this sham of an election, this violence that's literally setting a precedent for war in the next election, because nobody is going to come into elections believing that they will discuss ideas and issues anymore. Because what is it about? It's about who is the most violent.
That was a short video that came from, of course, the Labour Party presidential candidates, Gbadebo Rhodes. Well, he actually expressed so much displeasure. He said he has been spending a whole lot of money trying to pay hospital bills for his supporters that were actually, manhandled during the electoral process there in Lagos.
There's nobody that will be oppressed to the extent that Rhodes have been oppressed politically in this election.
But assuming he wants to take it to court, do you think he can get his mandate back?
Well, since I am not in the bench, election petitions litigation is a process.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let me complement exactly what Vivo just said. I keep telling politicians, if you want to be called His Excellency, you must allow the process of becoming His Excellency to be excellent. You must allow the process to be a free and fair process. One, a free and fair process is for your own good, because it will confer legitimacy on your government. Now, some of the governors that have been elected, even the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he is faced with the enormous challenge of getting legitimacy for his government. He will be faced with the challenge of legitimacy because Nigerians from across the length and breadth have expressed it in different platforms, and we have seen it that if the election was allowed to be free and fair, what we have today wouldn't have actually been the case. So what happened in Lagos State was just what Rhodes described as a sham. It was a political theft. Sanwo-Olu might have assumed he has won the election, but is that a true reflection of the people's wishes? Is that what Lagosians and those who had the franchise to vote in Lagos, residing in Lagos, does that reflect their true wishes? To me, I do not think so.
Well, let's just not dwell on Lagos State alone. This is just me taking a break to tell the people that this is a time that you can join the conversation. The phone number is displayed on your TV screen, so feel free to join the conversation by calling us or sending us a WhatsApp or a text message. Do you think that INEC actually played out well during the conduct of the Guba and, of course, the State Assembly polls? In a scale of 1 to 10, would you rate INEC? Would you give them up to 9 or 8? And also, what do you feel about the whole electoral process? Do you think it was free and fair across the country? Let's find out your contribution and your comment via the phone number displayed on the screen. You can send us a text message, a WhatsApp message, or put a call across to us. Well, let's shift a little to Adamawa before we come back home, where we had seen Binani, a lady, emerge suddenly as the governor. It was going to be something that would be a great surprise, that of course would create a big history in Nigeria, but not for, you know, a little tweak and things fell apart for her.
Election is like a running competition. Yes, you could see at the start of the run, you could see the first person who is leading. At some points, you may see the person who was at the back overtaking the one that was leading. That's exactly the analogy that I'll play in Adamawa State. Actually, you know, as the collation of the votes were ongoing, yes, it is possible that the local government that were being announced was the stronghold of the APC. So Binani could have the advantage of overtaking Fintiri with the vote. But as the other local governments came in for announcement, that could have also been the stronghold of the People's Democratic Party. And that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. So as the coalition started, the APC had advantage over the PDP. But as it progresses, you saw the PDP taking over. So though I have not really gotten the situation reports from Adamawa State, so I wouldn't really know if there is something fishy about the entire announcement of those results.
Well, if the elections result had stood, okay, with Binani as the governor, I mean, a state where the presidential candidates of the PDP comes from, wouldn't it have been, you know, something to talk about, you know, a shame, I would say, if PDP were not able to grab, you know, their hold there in Adamawa State?
Very well. It would have been a very big slap on the face of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. It would have been very embarrassing because, first and foremost, wherever you come from should be your first constituency, your strongest hold. Now, if the APC had triumphed in Adamawa State, it would have been, I don't know how to describe it, but that would have been very enigmatic. It would have been an enigma because Nigerians believe, since that is the hometown of the presidential candidate of the PDP, that at least, even if the PDP would lose in every other state, they will not lose in that state because that is seen to be the stronghold of the PDP because of Atiku Abubakar. However, the wishes of the people, if allowed to prevail, could always shock anybody at any time. Maybe they voted the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate because maybe since they felt if he wins, it will be to their own advantage. But looking at the state, the governorship position, Binani is also from Adamawa, Fintiri is also from Adamawa, so they might as well go for any of them. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say whether Fintiri has not performed well, because first and foremost, we have seen the way our electoral process is graduating. I still do not lose hope in our democracy, because I feel and I believe someday we'll get to that level, we'll get to that point that we are actually looking at. if a leader does not perform well, it will get to it will get to a time where influence, power, or whatever that you think you have, money, can no longer secure you the position that you are looking for. Maybe that's exactly what would have happened today in Adamawa State, because if Fintiri has not actually performed, then the people might have just revolted and the revolution will come through the ballot. They said, no, we're not going to return.
But on a second thought, you know, they were, you know, some, you know, alleged reports that, of course, Binani, we saw a press release by INEC, from INEC rather, you know, there were some reports, and of course that Binani may have been the one who printed INEC electoral materials. That's why she was being favored. And well, INEC came out to debunk that claim actually. Of course, according to them, they are not operating in favor of anybody. So do you think maybe things just turned out so that people would not just believe that, of course, that assertion that INEC was doing it in favor of Binani, who was alleged to have been printing the electoral materials, which INEC debunked was actually true?
Well, as a lawyer, I wouldn't really believe those speculations, because it lies at the realm of speculation, just as the name implies.
Yeah.
Whatever that cannot be substantiated, those who made those assertions, if they were sure of what they were saying, if they had tangible proof, they should have come out to substantiate their proof. And then when you substantiate your proof, it is no longer an allegation, it is a statement of fact. From there, an action can be taken on it. So just making a mere allegation that Binani was the one who printed the electoral materials, it could be true, it might not be true. But at the same time, if you do not have facts to back up whatever you are saying, then you shouldn't even say it at all, because at the end of the day, nothing can be done, no action can be taken on it, because you do not have facts to back up your claims.
All right, let's quickly come back to Akwa Ibom State, where the INEC, of course, Independent Electoral Commission announced the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Pastor Umar Bassey Eno, as the winner of the 2023 just, you know, conducted polls. Well, what do you have to say about this? Like, governor-elect, of course, the governorship election, you saw what happened, you saw what played out. Would you say that, did you see the power of incumbency come to play, you know, talking about Akwa Ibom State now, as the governor, the sitting governor, Udom Emmanuel, of course, declared Omoyino as his preferred candidate, as God's chosen. And of course, we had the likes of Akanu Dofia, we had the likes of Oba, that's Obombasi Albert of the YPP, Akanu Dofia of the APC. You know, people that came out with so much power, so much energy, of course, and so much support from people, from the grassroots as well. But we saw the PDP sit its candidate. Would you say the power of incumbency actually really came to play?
I just want to be very sincere about the Akwa Ibom State's governorship result. First of all, let me congratulate the governor-elect, Pastor Umar Bassey Eno, on his victory. Yes, meetings, they all got exactly what they deserved. Yes, because I voted in my unit, and judging from what happened in my unit, the People's Democratic Party won, had a resounding victory. They had a landslide victory in my unit. One, there have not been reports of large-scale violence in Akwa Ibom State.
Although we had a little, we even had in Ibionibom.
Splinter, yes, the one of Ibionibom, very minimal.
Yeah. And
maybe also minimal in the Temekpo local government. But apart from those two local governments, I haven't heard of violence in outbreak in any other local government on that particular Saturday. Now, I've not also heard of a ballot material, ballot box snatching I've not heard of gun running. I've not heard of activities of talks in almost all part of the states.
We may have
like
had, but it was quite
what happened
mild.
in Lagos State. If you put what happened in Lagos State to,
Of course,
it's
yes, nothing to
compare about. So, since we haven't had this much or large scale of violence, at the end of the day, there was no place that they even had to cancel election or talk about having a rerun. I just believe the whole process was free and fair. And well, anybody that feels that the election wasn't free and fair will always have the right to contest the result of the election. Therefore, that's why we have the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The doors of the tribunal is very widely open. So you can go in there if you feel you've been cheated, if you feel there were malpractices, if you feel there were electoral impropriety, you can go and contest.
Well,
who knows?
This one is a build-up story, you know, for INEC to announce the result of APC without a name of a candidate. That was something that stirred up so much reactions.
Yes, very well. This is not the first time it has happened. It has happened in some other states. It has happened in a back federal constituency in 2007, yes. It happened in 2007 in a back federal constituency where the late Honorable Ezekiel Anaka wanted a second term and was dragging the ticket with a Honorable Ekpo of Ikaluga government. At the end of the day, they were not able to come to a consensus. So the party did not have a standard bearer for the party in the elections. So what they did, that the election was contested on the basis of the political party. It was after the PDP were declared winner, but there was nobody that was the actual occupants. There was nobody that was actually declared as it was the victory was given to the party. It was after the elections that the courts now decided on who was the actual authentic carrier of the flag of the party. It also happened in Kogi State. So this is not the first time we are seeing. I actually knew that INEC wouldn't accept they will not admit in the name of the Akanudafia.
Okay, why was that?
Of course, the judgment of the Supreme Court that came barely a week to the elections, yes, was a judgment that sat on the fence. The Supreme Court didn't make an actual order. Now, when you look at the prayers of the respondents, that was Akanudafia was the respondent because it was actually Ita Enang.
Yeah.
He was the appellant. Now, when you look at the prayers of the respondent, the Supreme Court should have made a trite order urging INEC to accept the name of the respondent, the first respondent. But in the judgment of the Supreme Court, they did not make that order. So it was a judgment that sat on the fence. They neither asked INEC to accept this other person's name nor this other person's name. So it was just a judgment that left them to their fate. And as the lawyer, looking at the enrollment order of the Supreme Court, I knew that there is no way INEC will accept the name of the first respondent in that matter.
Okay.
So even if APC had won, it would have still been a subject of litigation at the court before the authentic candidates, flag bearer, will be determined. Okay.
All right, well, at this point, I think there's so much to talk about. So the whole of this week on this program, we'll be talking the election analysis. Of course, the just concluded polls. We've seen a whole lot of things come to play. But at this point, this is where we close the curtains for today. Barrister, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, back to the people. Well, let's do this again tomorrow and the next and the next and the next. Let's talk about the electoral process in Nigeria, especially here in Akwa Ibom State that saw the governor-elect, of course, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Pastor Omoino, as the winner of the governorship elections. Well, this is a big congratulations from us to the governor-elect. All right, see you tomorrow. Just stay tuned. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. Thank you so much. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.